Hello and welcome to a new episode of Don't Touch Your Face, the YouTube show that dredges up diseases from history's past and teaches us that hand washing is timeless. Today, we're talking about the smallpox case of Iran, Iraq in 1970-1972. Today, we're diving into an outbreak that happened right in the twilight years of a centuries-old killer, smallpox. Yes, indeed, a virus that used to be the Beyonce of deadly viruses, the headliner, the diva, the one with a 30% mortality rate and the ability to permanently rearrange your face. In the early 1970s, smallpox was on its last legs thanks to a global vaccination campaign, but like an aging rock star with one last hurrah left in them, it wasn't ready to quit.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I love the young people.
So let's talk about how a pilgrimage, politics, a poorly timed border crossing, all combined to create a nasty little outbreak, just when we thought we were winning. Part 1. The virus that refused to retire. So let's take a second and talk about smallpox, because it cannot be underestimated how this virus is one of the greatest killers in human history. By conservative estimates, it wiped out anywhere between 300 and 500 million people in the 20th century alone. It did not discriminate. Kings, peasants, children, all fair game. And if you did survive, congrats. You were left with lifelong immunity and probably a face full of pockmarks because it would fucking disfigure you, apparently. Part 2. Pilgrims and pathogens. So you might be asking, how did this thing start? The outbreak is believed to have been triggered by a pilgrimage-related travel, specifically between Shia Muslim pilgrims between Iraq, Iran, and Syria, often traveling to holy sites such as Najaf, Karbala, and Mashhad.
Screwed up, bro.
I apologize if I am butchering these names. You see, the conditions created by said pilgrimages, crowded conditions, poor sanitation, and long distance of travel without proper health screenings or any health screenings because it's 1970s Middle East. Yeah, good luck with that. Somewhere along the way, someone got infected, but not yet visibly sick. Likely crossing into Iran, possibly from Iraq, the virus got to work. In Iran, smallpox had been considered under control for several years at this point, which meant when it re-emerged in the late 1970s, people were confused to say the least. Doctors hadn't seen a real case in years. Initial infections were misdiagnosed as chickenpox or skin conditions, and smallpox, being the diva it is, doesn't like to be ignored. Part 3. The spread. Over the next 2 years, dozens of confirmed cases and several deaths were reported across Iran, Iraq, and even Syria. Exact numbers vary because, surprisingly, not every country is rushing to admit that they were hosting a deadly disease, especially during an era of regional tension, poor reporting systems, and a general fear of the tourism collapse. But here's what we do know. In Iran, outbreaks were reported in Tehran, Khuzestan, and near the Iraq border. In Iraq, cases emerged in Baghdad and the surrounding areas. Part 4. Containment, Politics, and Prayers. As the outbreak worsened, international health teams got involved. The WHO deployed mobile vaccination teams and helped set up quarantine zones in affected provinces. Iran launched emergency mass vaccination campaigns, especially in the border areas. Iraq and Syria followed suit, though Syria at the time was dealing with its own internal chaos and wasn't exactly handing out press releases. But here's the case. Unlike other viruses that quietly go into the night, smallpox makes one hell of an entrance. Once a case was diagnosed with the unmistakable rash and high fever, containment became a desperate race to vaccinate every person in contact and isolate cases before the next round began. Eventually, it worked. Through a combination of ring vaccination, door-to-door sweeps, and sheer panic, the outbreak was contained. Part 5. The Last Hurrah. The Iran, Iraq, Syria smallpox wave was one of the last major outbreaks in the Middle East, and a few more would pop up in India and Bangladesh. But the clock was ticking. By 1977, the final naturally occurring case of smallpox, the variola minor smallpox strain, had been recorded in Somalia. A man by the name of Ali Maulin, who survived, and in 1980, the WHO finally declared smallpox officially eradicated. But what about that 1970 and 1972 outbreak? Well, it's often forgotten, unfortunately. It was a chilling reminder that even in the final chapters, that a virus can still stir up a whole mess with just a few travelers, a few misdiagnoses, and one very crowded religious holiday. So, where is smallpox now? Well, the remaining samples are usually kept in biosafety level 4 labs, the highest level containment labs available. These labs are made and built to handle the most dangerous viruses in the world, like smallpox, Ebola, and Marburg virus, which we will get to eventually. Bear with me. Takes a long time to edit these. Yeah. The 1970-1972 smallpox outbreak did not become a global pandemic. It did not trigger lockdowns or top news cycles, but it easily could have. And it serves as a reminder that we are one missed case away from history repeating itself. And that's today's episode of Don't Touch Your Face. Until next time, stay safe, stay vaccinated, and for the love of everything sacred and holy, don't touch your face.